Snipers, you have to see what's happening in the Bitcoin price this Sunday, as this is an emergency update before futures markets open, because there are some very important things to know about the Bitcoin price right now. And the first thing is there is still an open CME gap at 18,440. So I know Bitcoin right now, as I record this video, is above 20,000 US dollars. That might change by the time that you're watching this video. But because the order books have already opened up to the CME gap, we have to keep this in mind that traders on the weekend potentially could have brought Bitcoin up to potentially come back down once futures markets open to at least at a minimum fill that CME gap at 18,440, and that could potentially form a higher low. What we're seeing right now is very positive, though. We are above the 2018 previous all-time high at 19,798. If we can get some 4-hour candle confirmations fully above this level, that would be an extremely positive sign for Bitcoin. And that could also indicate that we do have a potential short-term bottom, as if we were to look at the current price from the trough to peak, so far we're up 16%. So remember, snipers, when you reach a final destination, you will get to that destination and you will immediately turn right back around, not have a cup of coffee there. And so I think the most amount of downside we could see as futures markets open is 18,440. And remember this, the Dow Jones Industrial closed below the $30,000 big psychological number. And so I think Bitcoin could possibly flirt around its big psychological number of 20,000 US dollars as well. So not to be a bearer of bad news, but I did need to mention that that CME gap has yet to be filled because we entered into that price zone during the weekend, not while futures markets were open. Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, by the way, if you support these four-dimensional updates when they matter. And I also want to mention Ethereum right now potentially heading towards its major resistance of 1165. This is also going to be a very important puzzle piece. We may see a rejection of 1165, or if we can get above 1165, I think that would be extremely positive. And Ethereum, if we look at trough to peak so far, if we were to just take the percentage, is already up about 30%. So remember, snipers, when you reach a final destination, and that could be in the immediate short term, and that could eventually translate into another destination later on, but at least right now in the immediate short term, it looks like we could have potentially found a low. And so that's very positive. Let's see how futures markets open, how the DXY and the equity markets react. And then I do want to mention this as well, snipers. If we look at Bitcoin below the 200-week moving average, it would be very nice to see Bitcoin close above 22,300, which is where the 200-week moving average is currently sitting. That is a bit away from where price action is, and the weekly close being 4 hours away. And so this might be one of the first times over the last 5 years that Bitcoin has closed a weekly candle body below the 200-week moving average. I don't think that is much of a surprise because of the fact that it's also the first time Bitcoin has breached its previous all-time high from over the last few cycles. It actually did it once, by the way, in early 2013 and 14, but that was when market cap was extremely small. Since then, Bitcoin has never breached its previous cycle all-time high, so that's why you see a lot of people saying this is the first time that's happened. It actually did happen very early on in Bitcoin's existence. Just want to throw that out there. And so just look at this. Historically, Bitcoin tends to wick 14 to 28% below the 200-week moving average. And so far, we've wicked 21% below the 200-week moving average. So as we monitor where this bottom is going to come in, as we are currently in a capitulation, just keep that in mind, that Bitcoin could have potentially found at least a short-term bottom. May not be the ultimate bottom. That's going to have to be determined based on how equity markets react to this new open. And so other than that, there aren't many other revolving parts that I see as significant just yet. I will mention that we're going to be monitoring Bitcoin dominance and Ethereum to Bitcoin chart this week just to see what happens here, because Bitcoin dominance has yet to really find its upside target, even though we know it's been quite bullish, getting above its 20-week moving average and its 50-week moving average. You can see we finally have a guarded variety retest of that 20-week. Maybe we see the push to the upside here very soon for Bitcoin dominance to get to that 200-week moving average, around 57% dominance. But to wrap up the video, Bitcoin right now being above the 2018 previous all-time high at 19,798. That is the major support right now. And now we have opened up the door to 23,795. That's our upside target inside of this range if Bitcoin can close full 4-hour candles above 19,798. Not to mention, if we do come down to fill that CME gap, what we're looking for is potential higher low, and then a continuation to at least get to 24,000 US dollars. 24,000 US dollars is probably going to be that make it or break it resistance to assume that we have a true bottom here, because if we can get above 24,000, that would strengthen the thesis of this being a bottom. As percentage wise, if we look at that, we're talking about 35% from the recent lows. And so let's continue to monitor price, but remember, snipers, the CME gap still yet to be filled since we've already opened up the order books. I wouldn't be surprised to see the CME gap get filled here. And that's between 18,440 and 19,045. And with that, thank you all, snipers, for tuning into this Sunday update. Happy Father's Day to any of the fathers watching. And I appreciate each and every one of you tuned in this channel. Smash like button if you support this content. I'll see you next time. Snipers out.